Yeah, I'm going to let the violet go uh, in terms of pushing it as an infusion because the 5 herbs that we use for infusion, I asked somebody at a major herbal distributor, I said, so does my talking to people about infusion, has that changed anything? He says, doesn't it change the entire herbal industry? Right? He says, people used to go to stores to buy an ounce of herb. Right? You're making tea. You buy an ounce of nettle, it lasts you for 3 months because you're just using a little bit at a time. Well, you make infusion, you go through 2 pounds of herb a month. It's a lot different. He said it pushed the whole industry. He said all kinds of new farms had to open up, right? We had to make new contacts into Europe. He said this has made a major, major change in what herbs and how they're distributed because of the pressure of so many people
So
wanting
advise
these
responsibly.
5 infusion herbs. And so one of the reasons also that I let go of violet was that it's not as easy to produce as the others, right? Nettle, is there a problem getting enough nettle? Oh, God, no. No, it's okay. We're fine on nettle. Oat straw? Problem with oats? Yeah. No problem with oats, right? I mean, in Australia, we're driving along, and I said, stop. She said, why? I said, stop. I got out of the car. I said, it is. It says, it's oat grass everywhere. It's all oat grass all over the place. She said, yeah. It's like San Francisco. Like the hills are just covered in wild oats. And I'm like, do you have any scissors? She's like, yeah. And she's, wow, I'm harvesting wild oats, Susun Weed. I said, yeah, you sure are. You have 2 pairs of scissors? Let's go. No problem, right? Red clover? Not a problem, right? The comfrey? Oh, boy. Right? We already talked about don't let it overcome you. So we have 4 herbs here that are really easy to cultivate, easy to get, easy to use. And then violet, not quite as easy. So linden, yeah, really great. It's a narrower window of time when you can harvest the linden, and you got to get out there and harvest it when it's harvestable. Right, the others you can do pretty much year round when the growing season. But violet has tremendous uses, and of course it is one of the plants in my green book. Sweet and violet. There are only 7 plants in that book. Just 3 traditions and 7 plants. That's only 10 chapters. How did violet not get in the table of contents? In the first edition of the book, Violet is not in the table of contents because she
Didn't want to be.
She's invisible. She slides by. She's underfoot, but you don't see me, she says. I'm just going to slide on through until she flowers, and then you go, oh my gosh, look how many violet flowers there are. So I have taken more to using the violet flowers, and especially as honey. And Rose, who we've been talking about off and on, is very much aligned with the violet, and will often, in any remedy that she makes while the violets are flowering, will put a single violet blossom as kind of her signature in the remedy. Thank you. Thank you, violet leaves. Willow bark. Well, we've been talking about willow bark off and on all day long, right? So we know that willow bark, this isn't where it is. It's one of those salves was a willow bark salve. And it contains salicin. And we also use philopendula. Did we bring any philopendula out here?
Sage honey?
Sage honey? No, we didn't bring the philopendula out. That's okay. That's fine. But there are quite a few plants.
It's 4 o'clock.
That contain salicin. And salicin is a really classic anti-inflammatory, pain-reducing, and it directly acts on the nerves that register pain. It's really useful. Now, aspirin seems to be safe, reasonably so, and it's a blood thinner and anti-inflammatory. So why don't we prescribe to people over the age of 60 that they take an aspirin every day, maybe a baby aspirin, maybe a low-dose aspirin every single day, so that we can save lives, so they don't have strokes and clots and heart attacks. Doesn't it sound like a good idea? Well, it did to millions of doctors. Hundreds of millions of elders were prescribed low-dose daily aspirin. 25 years later, what we can say is that more of them died from internal bleeding than would have died from stroke. If you know anyone who is currently taking low-dose aspirin or baby aspirin on a daily basis, please tell them that the new guidelines do not advise anyone to do that. The risk of internal bleeding is very high, and you don't notice it.
Mm-hmm.
So for elders, it is a actual killer. Willow bark does exactly the same thing as aspirin without the bleeding. Anything that you think of as aspirin for doing pain relieving, fever relieving, muscle ache relieving, willow bark is going to do that, or any other plant that contains that compound. And the plant that was originally used to make aspirin was spirea, also known as bridal veil. All right, and it's quite high in salicin, and we took salicin from the plant in the form of an acid. So we had acetylsalicylic acid, or spirea aspirin. So yeah, you could use spirea, you could use bridal veil. Philippindula ulmaria is perhaps the herb with the most, but it's kind of rare. I know, well, I say there's two patches, but there's a road through it, so really it's one patch. Right? There's like a patch here and then a road and then a patch here. That's one patch, right? Isn't it? Yeah, we just put the road through it. It knows where it is. So really, I only know of one patch. In like 100-mile radius. So really an uncommon plant. And Gretchen turned me onto it, Gretchen Gould, and she made a salve of it, and she said to people that the salve, good for you, getting the planting, yes, that the salve of Philippindula kills pain so dramatically that she tells people to be careful or they will re-injure themselves. It takes away pain so much that you don't.
No, that's usually one of the reasons why I don't take too many painkillers.
Exactly.
Because I'm not ready to
not feel it.
To make good judgments.
Yes, that's what she said. She said, "Oh, this one really, like, this is so strong, and this is just using it topically."
Yeah, wow.
That it's strong. That we're like, "Whoa, okay." So, when I worked in health food stores, and people have told me that you can still go and buy. We sold little tins, just like the little tin that aspirin would come in. You get the little tin with 9 aspirin. Can you still get that? No. Right? And they sold the same little tin with 9 willow bark tablets in it. And it said, take 2. I also have an old ad from National Geographic that someone sent me, and you see the white veiled doctor sitting behind his desk. And the nurse is there, holding out the telephone to him, and the caption says, "Tell her to take the bark of 2 willows and call me in the morning." And of course the caption is, "Aren't you glad there's aspirin?" It's an ad by a pharmaceutical company. "Aren't you glad there's aspirin? You don't have to take the bark of 2 willows." No, I'll take the bark of 2 willows. It's a lot safer and does all the things that aspirin does. One elder said to me early in the spring, "Come over here to the willow, Susan." And there was a weeping willow, and they were hanging down, and the leaf buds were starting to swell. And so you could see like stalk, leaf bud, stalk. And she said, "What does that look like?" And I said, "I don't know. Maybe fingers?" She said, "Yeah, doesn't it?" She said, "And then do you see how arthritic those fingers are?" And I said, "Oh, whoa, you mean those are all like the swollen joints?" She said, "Yeah." She says, "That's the willow telling you, you make me and I'll make your hands flexible and soft again." And that's her preference was the salve. And I asked her how she did. She says, "Oh, you take that willow bark early on, or right just at this time, or you can even take those buds, and you pound that up and you mash that up with some good animal fat." She said, "When you rub that on your hands," she said, "your hands are going to be good for a long time. You do that." All right, thank you, grandmother.